Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandes, and
I am Chris Jayawardena.
you sure are. And happy Christmas, everyone. I know it's early. I know you're already tired of it. But it's Christmas on Laverne Shirley this week. We're reviewing Christmas at the Booby Hatch / Oh Hear the Angels' Voices. It's got 2 different titles. DVD lists both. Wikipedia lists both. It depends on what your cable guide will say to determine what the heck this episode is titled. It's a total crapshoot, and
It's Schrodinger's episode. It's one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other. Sometimes both, sometimes neither. And sometimes it doesn't even exist at all. But this is the show's first Christmas episode. It was written by David W. Duclon, and it was directed by Howard Storm. And we've talked about both these fellows before. I don't know if Chris has any new facts about them.
I mean, the only thing is, when looking a little further into David Duclon, man, this guy created a lot of TV shows during the 80s, including Double Trouble, Punky Brewster, Silver Spoons, and Boys Will Be Boys.
Punky Brewster. I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah.
That's something new every day. Okay, this is what the episode is about. Carmine enlists the entire gang to perform a holiday show at a hospital on Christmas Eve. But none of them know until they show up that they will be performing at a mental hospital. Shirley is initially frightened by the notion of performing for the patients due to a poor experience with her Aunt Mary Margaret's mental health, and her parents subsequently vowing to lock her up when she was back. But it takes a pep talk from one of the patients to make her realize that people with emotional troubles are people too. What do you think?
So what I think of this episode? It's kind of like a disturbing propaganda in a way that like every show needs a Christmas episode if it's an American television program. It's interesting, you know. I'm not like an anti-Christmas person. I'm not an anti-religious person. But I do find just the sort of interesting American culture aspect of we must put the Christmas in all of the things. I find that fascinating, and this was the way it's done here. I think what was kind of cool about it is they frame it more as the Christmas element gets them there, like a reason for them to be there. But there's a really kind of genuine message behind it, and there's a lot of wonderful hijinks and both comedy and musical numbers that happen in this. And yeah, it is, I guess, despite itself, it's quite good. A lot of it, I think, does come from the fact that it's directed by Howard Storm, who's done some really good work in the season so far, and David Duclon, who also was the co-writer of Look Before You Leap, coming back for this episode, I think helps a lot because there's something very genuine and very human about it. I am somewhat disappointed though that it didn't turn out to be an Agatha Christie episode when Lenny goes like, "Oh, maybe he's planning to murder us." So, but I could live with that.
Yeah. I can live with that, everybody bluntly slaughtering each other for this episode. This kind of takes the place of the Shots Talent Show episode this season, in a lot of ways. We don't get a Shots Talent Show episode this season, probably because it was produced back-to-back with season 1, so they didn't have a lot of time to prepare or write such a thing. So we end up with this Christmas episode, and it's a very interesting episode in the way that it tries to address mental health. It tries to say, hey, look, these people are human beings. Treat them like human beings. Don't be a jerk about it. But on the other hand, also mills jokes out of them. So, like, it's 50 of one, 40 of another, you know? It's kind of like, well, you're trying to make a great statement. The show makes a really nice statement. It really does. About how important it is to treat people like people. Even if, you know, they're severely depressed, even though they have schizophrenia or manic depression or whatever.
Yeah, or even just like in the case of like, or even Mr. Palper, you know, it's what he likes to do. It's like it's a weird kind of comfort thing for him in a way to pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And the show tries to ground Shirley's fear of this whole situation in something relatable and understandable. Sometimes it doesn't make her look very nice. Yeah. You know, it makes her look flawed and complex. It doesn't make her look like the best person that she's so afraid of these people that are going to murder her. send her. She's going to be stuck there in the hospital forever.
And it's also, I think, also interesting in the time of the 70s. This is after One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest had come out, and how because that was when I think the perception of people in mental institutions was starting to change in the way it was portrayed in media. This is after films like Sam Fuller's Shock Corridor had also come out, which showed, the trauma with which people can undergo when they're in an institution that is abusive. And it's interesting that, being set in the late 50s, this episode is also kind of talking, I think, in some respects about the perception of mental health that was before the 20th century as well. This idea that, well, anyone that was there, they're a monster, or they deserve to be there, or something like that. And and so that's, I think, as you're saying, I think that's the catch with Shirley, is they're trying to show that fear or to show that perspective. And it kind of weakens her characterization in the episode because it makes her so completely one-sided as to being all fear, all anxiety, all aggression. And yet, Laverne's able to adapt pretty quickly. I mean, she just that wonderful little flirting, with the, oh God, I can't remember his name, but the guy who's, has this nice reveal, but it's just, and that's the thing. He's a guy who's just got like kind of an odd tick, but he's someone who's just trying to kind of keep it in check. He's trying to get treatment for it. And he's genuinely a nice guy. And Laverne sees into that and sees that about him. And, she adapts. And it's, so, I mean, isn't it even, okay, so what is Edna dressed up as at the party?
They cut her scene out, didn't they?
They did.
They completely cut her number out because she is dressed up for something and she performs, but it is not in this edit that made it to the DVD. And once again, come on, CBS, stop this. Stop this syndication edits. This becomes extremely obvious. She's just out there with her costume for no reason. I have no idea what she's dressed as. No idea at all.
Yeah, because part of me wonders, is that meant to be the Mad Hatter or the rabbit, the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland?
Possibly. The show does do a Alice in Wonderland pastiche later.
Oh.
In season 3. We will see an interesting side of everybody when that happens. But I don't know who actually supposed to be. Viewers, if you know, tell us. Because, we've only got these DVDs to work from at the moment. We would like complete edits, CBS. Come on.
Please. It's ponying up, man. Listen, we already spent the money on these DVDs, and we would pay to buy them again just so we can get these full edits of the show.
Yeah.
Do it. But
I bought season 8 for you people. Season 8.
Yeah. And so, anyway, but back on track to the episode itself. I mean, with the themes at the very least, what I did like is that the characters in the health center, the hospital, they're cute. They're really cute and funny. Even the little girl, the young woman who's staring at Shirley, you kind of get to realize that it's almost like this weird, like, I think she just thinks that Shirley's really pretty, and she just just wants a little bit of attention and acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And she's kind of shy. She's just really, really shy, like clinically, clinically shy.
Yeah.
And Mr. Palper is a hoot. And as I mentioned, the guy with his gestures with Laverne is adorable. And there's a lightness to it. Even the guy who's kind of like being a little creepy with Frank at the very end. There's an interesting like back and forth between them. You can kind of see in the background action, in the wide shot. This is unfortunately a bit patronizing, but it does kind of look at it in the way of like almost trying to like say you're relating to it the way you relate to a child, and you have to like sort of put things at their level, which I don't advise. I really don't want to treat anyone in that way, to dumb anything down. The energy of the person you're speaking to, you're interacting with, what is their energy? Where is their sort of their line, and trying to meet them on that line, and trying to meet them halfway wherever they are at. The Shirley thing is the part where it kind of falls, because it doesn't even really resolve until the very end of the episode. And it kind of feels like too late to have like a Dear Diary segment to rectify what was done.
Yeah. So they kind of have to just have everybody have a moment of brotherhood and sisterhood and personhood where everybody gets together and they sing Silent Night, which happens in so many sitcoms. Silent Night is the big emotional capper for every single Christmas sitcom episode in the universe.
Yep.
I swear.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how they end it. They kind of go, oh yeah, everybody's a person, everybody's a human being. And then the funny thing is the way they kind of have, everybody kind of meets someone among this group of patients that they can relate to, except for Lenny and Squiggy, who become a fascination to the doctor in charge.
They don't necessarily meet a patient, they meet a specialist that is very, very interested in their
in their existence and their habits.
Right.
So we do get like 3 numbers here that are intact. One of them drummed by Mr. Gary Marshall himself.
Yep.
In the background.
Yep.
Good old Gary. Whenever there's a big important episode, he's usually back there drumming away. Happens on Happy Days. Happens on Laverne Shirley. I do not know if he shows up in Mork and Minnie to drum away, but I'm sure he must have at some point, because I have not seen that show in a long, long time. I have to say that my absolute favorite out of all of them is probably the girls, their little
the Winter Wonderland piece with the
yes, their piece with their drum majorette.
It's a great moment. It's a great bit. The choreography is fantastic. Their delivery is great. Yeah, it's one of the highlights I think of the season so far is seeing them do. It's really seeing all 3 of the different numbers in this episode. Is them, the tap dancing. I'm kind of torn if I prefer the Winter Wonderland or the Lenny and the Squigtones, because I love the song. The song is so dark. It's so dark. I love it. And it's perfect, very traditional comedy rock song, or folk song.
Yeah. A lot of the Lenny and Squigtones music is kind of really, really, it's sardonic, obviously. And it's playing with those tropes of 1950s rock and 1960s rock music.
Right.
But here they're just taking apart the sad Christmas tale and just taking it and chunkifying it. Absolutely chunkifying it. By telling the story of how they stumbled in and meet a down in his luck Santa who dies. And it's depressing. In case you guys are wondering, by the way, this song was indeed a regular Christmas staple on the Dr. Demento show. So,
I bet. Yeah, that does not surprise me.
Well, Star-Crossed and Night After Night were on the show a lot too. So, and Michael and David did host an episode of the show in character at some point, and I don't know if that audio exists somewhere, but I hope it does. I really hope it does, because it must have been a time. But yeah, this isn't my favorite One of the Squigtones song. Even though I named the podcast after Night After Night, that's not my favorite Lenny and the Squigtones song either. My favorite is If Only I'd Have Listened to Mama. Which is really, really great, and it really tears the roof off. And we get to hear that one at the last Shots Talent show.
Ah, okay.
So that's coming up. That's seasons ahead of us. Seasons and seasons ahead of us. But that's a darn good little song. It's a fun song, and the performance, the way they do it. I loved the way there's that little bit of music, and Lenny plays it, and then Swiggy looks down at him, and he's like, is he supposed to start singing or not? And they just kind of go, and they play a little bit more, and they start
and it's such a classic comedy song bit.
Yeah, it's very them. It's very them, because they're not entirely
synchronized.
Organized or synchronized, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. But it's good shows, it's good comedy. There's some the dialogue through this episode is fantastic, and I think as we said, of Look Before You Leap, is that Declan and Deborah and who co-wrote that episode really like nail the mixture of comedy and emotion, and I think that it's actually pulled off really well here, especially with the conclusion with Mr. Palper I have some notes on that actor, by the way. Yeah, it was Roger Garrett. It was it looks like it was a comedic or character actor that was in some other television. I love how he delivers that really moving speech about everybody. You know, they're people and they have problems, and that's why they're there, because they're trying to help. You know, they're trying to get better. And then he gives them the scroll, which is all the signatures, and of course it's all these famous people in history, and and he goes, yeah, what? I was just trying to make sure they knew we still had a sense of humor, And it's like that kind of sums up the sort of the tone balance of the episode, and even the numbers themselves. Like they have that, they're funny and goofy, and then you get the sad Santa song, and which really makes me curious if the bit for Edna was cut and what it was, and like part of me wonders, like, was it like some weird like stand-up routine or something like that?
That might have been it. Her outfit kind of suggests maybe Frosty the Snowman.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm very curious. I'm tired of things getting cut out of the show. I always get tired of how they edit these shows for syndication. It's so awful.
Yeah.
I have an actual note about that, because something does happen before they go to the hospital where Carmine talks them all into it. And it says, for some reason, Lenny hands Mrs. B something. Money. Fucking Cindy idiots. That's exactly what it says, and that's how I feel. And I still don't know what the heck he's handing her or why he's handing her that thing. But we have to mention Howard Hessman doing some yeoman-style work here. Being a badass and just totally anchoring the episode in seriousness. Considering what he does elsewhere in other sitcoms, it's interesting seeing him kind of like acting as a point of gravitas. Just bouncing off everybody's goofiness and kind of being the center of calmness and adult behavior. Because they definitely needed some adult behavior, considering, this was a gang.
This group, This group needs an adult, including the adults.
Yes. They're all adults. They're all children cleverly disguised adults in a lot of ways in this show. That's what makes them great.
Yep. And actually, on that note, I forgot to actually cover Howard Hessman. Yeah, he does some really great work. His delivery, his deadpan, his timing is great. Shout out to him as an actor, also. Because here's another piece of trivia: he also was in Billy Jack, and
no way.
And he was even also in Shampoo. He was also in an episode of Beretta. But he also was in Flight of the Navigator. And one of the more recent roles he did is, go figure, Rob Zombie snuck him into his second Halloween movie. Because of course he did.
Yeah. Well, there's at least one other Laverne Shirley alumni in Zombies canon. The eventual Rhonda Lee, who's played by Leslie Easterbrook, plays the mother of the Firefly fan in his House of Thousand Corpses series. Yeah.
Specifically Devil's Rejects. It was Karen Black in House of Thousand Corpses.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You're correct.
Sorry about that. Just want to make sure I don't want angry commenters about that.
How dare you do that? Calm down, horror fandom. We're allowed to mess up sometimes. It's all good.
Yep. And not to mention, it was a case of their performances were both equally so good. It's kind of easy to mix them up, to be honest.
Yeah. Leslie is good. Leslie does not get enough credit. I will say that when we hit season 6 and season 7, that she does not get enough credit for how good she is. And she's really good.
Yeah.
And she's good at comedy, and she's good, dramatic, and she doesn't get credit for it. But yes, that's just my little dumb opinion. Anyway. When you're here for my little dumb opinions, that's why you're listening to this podcast. Okay.
Yep.
What I thought was really interesting also, we actually get a call back to early in the season for Angels of Mercy. Laverne sees the patient come in, pretending to be a nurse. She goes, I had one of them as a volunteer nurse there. She's talking about nurses. I was like, oh wow, we get continuity. Sometimes we'll actually get actual continuity out of the show. Most of the time, it actually does exist, but there will be issues where you'll go, that's not true, or that's not how many brothers she has, or I don't think Laverne was that old when her mother died. There's all kinds of stuff going on there.
The inconsistencies will continue until morale no longer gives a crap.
Yeah. Well, in this episode, they actually play the theme song towards the end of the last number. So which comes out of that's such a wink to the audience and a fourth wall break.
Right.
Because you get them all just playing along, singing their hearts out. All of a sudden, theme song. Gary's playing his heart out on it, but geez, this should not be happening. Stop breaking the fourth wall like that, guys.
Right. Yeah, it's like in MST3K. There actually is a bit when they see the moon, and it's like, oh hey, it's the MST3K logo, and it's like, Tom, you're not supposed to know that.
I remember that. Wow.
Speaking of the callbacks, I do have my note about the other one of I hear my mother calling me, and when Laverne chases after Shirley, she goes, her mother lives in California, and that was another nice little nod.
Yep.
So that makes me wonder if Duclaw, especially given that he and Deborah had put also so much work into Look Before You Leave, if he was one of those few people, this is a conjecture, obviously, but I wonder if he was one of the few people who was like, we do have established characters. We could use these details,
Yeah. The show needed a Bible sometimes, and sometimes they get it just right. Sometimes they mess it up. Sometimes it is a disaster. Sometimes it's perfect. Any show in that era. Even some of the highest acclaimed shows will have mess-ups in them when it comes to, like, strong linear canon. And, like, even, like, stuff like the Golden Girls where they completely miss out on how many children one of them will have.
Oh, boy, that's a big one.
Or how many not how many marriages, whether or not someone is adopted, or all kinds of different things like that. And
Wow.
And it doesn't make the show less great, but when you watch it all on the line, you go, hey, you missed that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I got my little stuff I love to point out. Just the dialogue, the comedic dialogue is really good. Like when Laverne gets a check, it's like, and you took it. Well, why not? It's made out to Tootsie Baby. It's cute. There's some really cute lines like that. There's the oh gosh, what was that? There was another one here. I'm looking through my notes. Where is this one? Oh, the bit at the beginning with Lenny and Squiggy and what they did to Carmine's car.
Yes.
And it's like, you're not mad? No. Wait till you see what I did to your truck. And my thought of me is like, that's a company car, Carmine. No.
Yeah. He gets revenge on them. They're in double trouble because that car doesn't belong to them. That truck does not. It's company property. Because they should have done what they did to Carmine's car. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeez, boys.
Yeah, speaking of, the other note, speaking of just, examples of power is, my mother had this comment that, wow, Penny is strong when she picked up Cindy on her shoulders and then is rotating the batons and kicking at the same time.
That's how strong she was. She was an incredibly physically strong woman. You kind of get amazed at this level of stunt work. We said it before, we'll say it again. She literally picks up almost everybody in the cast at some point or another during the show. I know she picks up Michael at one point.
God, a big, strong woman like that. I'm surprised she didn't end up in the new She-Ra series.
Strong woman, tough woman, badasses everywhere.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So what are you thinking? What you giving this episode?
This one is right around. It's right around a 6 for me. The number's buoyant. The boys number especially. That's legendary. There's clips. If you can't get your DVDs or find the show on MeTV or find the show on Logo. Look at that clip. Listen to that song. It's a lot of fun.
It's a hoot.
Yeah, the individual performances are great. The message is beautifully delivered.
And Carmine gets that great tap dancing number too.
Oh yeah. We should mention that how good Carmine is and how good Eddie Mecca is in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
He just goes for it. You forget how talented he is when it comes to dance. But
I was just going to quickly say, you even notice there's a couple of cases. The first leap in particular, he barely makes it. Yeah. Like you can tell, like he really nearly seriously injured himself there.
He has like years and years and years and years and years of dance training. He started in the theater. He went back to the theater after the show ended, and he idolized Gene Kelly as a kid.
That's
So
obvious.
you can see a lot of Gene Kelly in this style. A lot of Gene Kelly. So, in this number in particular, but a lot more numbers coming up. You'll be able to notice that. But yeah, he does very well in his number. So, the message is strong. There's a couple of details that pull it down for me. Maybe it needs a little bit, and it felt like it needed like a little bit more meat on those bones narratively. I don't know. It's not perfect, but it's good.
Yeah, I think about the same. Yeah, about a 6. Yeah, it just kind of fluctuates and a little buoyant. Like it goes a little higher because the boys are great, with their song, and Eddie's bit is really good. Yeah, all the music numbers kind of almost like a 6.5, or get crazy decimal with like a 6.2 point, is a 6.25 or 6.37, but it's yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. It's a solid episode. But yeah, the things that bring it down, I just feel is I think it's a little sparse. I'm not a fan of Christmas episodes in general, especially watching them out of season. So it's like I like watching seasonal episodes in that season, all in that block. So it always means that it's harder for me to rate those episodes higher because of the timing aspect that's involved there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of really good material. Everyone gets a great bit. Everyone gets a great line. They're really, and as you were saying before, is like you really kind of get to see the whole kind of group cast dynamic a little better here. And there's this wonderful, like strangely meta aspect of them giving the show to an actual audience while also filming it with an actual live audience, probably past that. And I'm curious how this was shot. Was it shot in a soundstage without the typical live audience, which I think they mentioned it was filmed before a studio audience? And so if that's the case, then that means that there was an audience and then an actual like extras audience in front. And I'm curious, like even how they staged some of that because they had to put in walls for the back and things like that. So there's some aspects like that for me as a filmmaker is like ooh, that's like stuff to focus on, stuff to think about. But yeah,
well, Laverne. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's good stuff. That was my last point.
Yeah, Laverne Shirley, they filmed the dress rehearsal just in case anything happened and somebody got hurt on tape day because it's an extremely physical show, and they also would tape the on tape day, obviously, and sometimes they'd edit those two blocks of footage together to get the best take.
And
I'm pretty sure.
I do wonder if that's. Oh, I'm so sorry. I walked all over you.
No, that's okay. Go.
Oh, just gonna say, I wonder if that's how they also were able to get some of the insert shots in some of their scenes.
Yeah, that's pretty likely. It's pretty likely that that's how they managed to edit around everything, get a full episode together. Considering how chaotic the show could be, it's definitely something like a combination of all of those things.
Yeah. The coalescing of the contents, that is the editing process.
Yes. So I'd say this is a cute Christmas episode.
Yeah.
It's a cute Christmas episode. It's not my favorite. I like Come All Ye Bums better, which is coming up. That's the next Christmas episode. And I guess that's it. That's all.
Cool.
For this episode.
Cool. And a quick... So I guess we'll give ourselves a quick word to our sponsors out there. All right.
Yes.
Excellent. I think that covers everything for today. So anyways, everybody, thank you so much once more for joining us on Night After Night. If you would like to know more, please reach out to us at Night After Night PC on Twitter. We're also at Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, Patreon, and WordPress as well. So if you would like to keep in touch and check on things and just join us, please join us, won't you, on this wonderful journey of sitcom magic. And we're probably going to end up having this episode out well before Christmas, and yet it will be in the middle of the Xmas season of decorations over all the stores. So we wish all of you well out there in that trudging through the commercialist hell and things like that. At least I do, because I worked that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That was an experience.
Have a happy holiday when it gets to you. It's your part of the world. It's your part of the universe. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy winter. After this long year. enjoy yourself in some fashion.
Yeah, we're recording these in the summer, and we hope that ahead of time. So we really hope that by the time these episodes come out, that the year will have sped up or slowed down to such an extent that it does not feel like it's going on for 50 million freaking years. I mean, it's like I was gonna even ask Lisa, if you had felt that maybe our podcast would be reaching so far beyond the internet that it'd be heard by the Omicronians on Omicron Persei 8. However, I get the feeling that we're already in that middle of the journey on this orb we're on. So yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore. The world is bleak. That's why we need Christmas episodes like this.
Why will the podcasters not speak simply about the girls with the skirts? Why must they speak about the angst outside the door? I tune in for the goofy men with the jackets and the hair. That's my terrible impression.
That is good. I did not realize you minored in Omicronian studies.
Oh God, I'm so bad. Okay. Anyway, enjoy your holiday, folks. Your holidays when you get it. This is gonna be Halloween. You're gonna have Halloween next. Halloween is on a Saturday this year, so enjoy your Halloween.
Yep.
Maybe a nice Halloween, and enjoy eggnog while you're looking at the moon and avoiding werewolves.
Actually, that being said, man, some of those Halloween candies with some eggnog would be freaking awesome.
I've actually never tried that, and I bet you it would be great.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Reese's Pieces?
God.
How
about some...
Oh, my God, I'm totally doing that. Okay, excellent. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to go do that right now. See you, everybody. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.